Hello there folks, and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be having a look at a little favourite game of mine that has been around for a while, and I finally dived in and actually did a lot of painting on it last year, as well as picked up the rules for it as well. So this is Arkworld, which is a game by the folks at Warp Miniatures. We'll talk a little bit more about the miniatures themselves a little bit later on, but I wanted to just sort of go through Arkworld, give you a little bit of a rundown of the mechanics of the game and sort of how it works, and also tell you why I like it and why I think you should be delving in and picking it up. Straight out the bat, I should say this is obviously the rulebook for the game, but there's no reason for you to go out and pick up this if you don't want to. It's a very nice little book. It's been very well produced. It's very lovely in a like faux leather with the gilding and all that kind of thing on it. And it's a very nice little thing to have, but all of the rules for Arkworld are available online for free if you want to go and check it out for yourself. So you can go and grab all of the rules and just pay for the models and away you go. Although there is also, I believe, like a print and... yeah, I think there's like a print and play version of it as well. I will have some links down below if I can find it. But yes, so Arkworld comes from Alex Huntley, and it is set in this wonderful fantasy world, as you can see here. I think one of the best ways that Arkworld has been described is a little bit like Discworld meets Warhammer, with a little bit of Fable thrown in there for good measure, and all sorts as well. But it's a great little game that doesn't have a lot of mechanics in it and is very easy for you to get your head around. And it's very much about being inventive, which I really like as well. The game is run using basic D6. Ooh, as you can see here, lovely D6. These are the special Arkworld dice that I picked up. As you can tell, I do quite like this game. And apart from the D6, you'll need something like Arcanite tokens, which are these here, as you can see. A small game space, so you don't need that much room to play the game. You can play it on a 3x3 board, as you can see there. So everything gets very close to each other very quickly, which is always good fun. And once you've got the miniatures, you're pretty much away and ready to go. The basic principles of the game, as you can see here, is that on a 4, you'll succeed on the dice roll. If you have rolled a 6, it counts as a crit, which counts as 2 successes. Nice and simple. There are also ways for you to re-roll and get advantage and disadvantage on your rolls as well. There are also different ways that you can play around with the mechanics of the game as well, but I'll get to that a little bit later. You will also need a deck of cards. This is the tarot deck for Arkworld from the folks at Warp, but you could just use a normal deck of cards if you wanted to as well. This is used for casting spells and doing some of the more intricate stuff in the game, but there's no reason why you would need to pick up the specific deck. You can just use a regular set of playing cards if you like. I was using my Fable deck of cards before I got my hands on this one. So there we go. So that's a nice, easy thing for you to snap up. Like many warband-based games, like Mordheim and Necromunda and things like that, one of the big premises of it is that you build a warband, you have a gold starting cost, and you dive in and just start playing. You can get starter warbands, which are all relatively around the same cost, but because of the way that the game works and the narrative behind it and that kind of thing, everything's kind of balanced against each other anyway, because it's more about having fun than dominating your enemies on the tabletop. And when you dive in, you'll find a lot of the stats and things like that easy enough for you to get your hands on as well. I should say all of the stats for the various warbands are all available online for free, so you can go and get those. There is also a warband builder on there as well. So if you get your hands on something like the undead, for example, then you could go and grab these miniatures, work out who they are in the app, well, not the app, but the application on the browser, and then just get stuck in and get playing your games. As I was saying, the basic premise of the game is that you'll be using action points to do things on your turn. It's a alternating activation system, so you go from one character to another and you go back and forth until everyone in both warbands has played, or of course if you're going to be playing a multiplayer game, you could do it across 3 or 4 players if you wanted to as well. One person could even just play as a troll while everyone else plays as their actual warbands if you wanted. It's been balanced in a way that you can actually make that work very nicely. But once you dive into the game, you'll essentially find yourself breaking things down into a number of different things. So you carry on until you've basically spent all of your AP for a given character. Everybody gets a free move up to their move characteristic, as you can see there. But then beyond that, you will spend AP to do other things. So, for example, you can leg it. Leg it is effectively like the go for it rule in Blood Bowl, where you roll to see if you can carry on running around, which is quite cool. If you fail it, however, you will fall over and go flat on your face. Leg it can also be used to charge into combat, which gets you another AP for doing special things in combat. We'll come back to feats in a second, actually. You can also spend AP to take shots, and the way that it works is that you can actually spend more AP to take a more careful shot. Now, obviously, you could spend more AP to do that, but it means that you'll have less AP to do other things in your turn. But if you really need to hit somebody with a bow or something like that, then you can take a really well-aimed shot, spend more AP to make the attempt actually hit, which I think is quite cool. The other thing you can do is you can dive in and you can obviously just attack people, and that's where combat comes in. Melee combat can only be done if you're in base-to-base contact with another character, and when you do that, you spend AP based on the attack in your profile. So if we go back to this halfling sheriff here, he has a couple of different attacks. So you've got the 2 AP for a furious wallop, or 1 AP for a hearty stab. When you do this, what you do is you roll the power value that's listed there. So for example, in this case, we have power 8 for the furious wallop, and stab is a power 5. You'll then roll that, and you'll see how many successes you get in the attempt. And depending on the amount of successes, that's how much damage you're going to do. Sometimes critical attacks will sometimes unlock additional damage and effects when you do things in combat. And then what happens is the following player, the person who's defending, then rolls dice trying to cancel them. And so you roll a dice, and as long as you get a success, which would obviously be a 4+ in this case, you'll block hits. A 6 will obviously then defend to 2 because it's critical, and you'll keep going until you roll a fail, and in that case you take the rest of the damage that was left over, as you can see in this lovely diagram that you get here. That's pretty much it for the kind of basics of it. There are also things like bravery tests if you're looking to see how fear works in the game. And you have all sorts of different equipment that can be used to enhance your characters, all of which is designated by their given faction and sort of what's available to them as their war gear. You also have access to things like Arcanite tokens. So Arcanite tokens are the lovely green things that I was showing before, these here. Although, of course, you could use anything. You could use dragon poos or whatever you've got access to. And they can be used as sort of like a little bonus thing. So they can be used to grant 1 additional AP, get an extra d6 on a roll, allow a spell to be cast, draw another card for a spell, or reroll a d6. Casting magic itself is done by simply drawing cards from the deck, and you're trying to beat the value of the card, and you can keep drawing if you want to try and cast the spell. If you fail it, obviously it fails, but if you do get to 21, you overpower it. As you can see there, the mage loses d6 HP, and they lose control of their magic and all sorts of different things, which is kind of cool. I was saying there was a couple of other mechanics that are actually really fun, and this is where I think that ArcWorlde has something unique to it, and that is the way that feats work. So feats are really interesting in that if you want to do anything that isn't attacking or going for it and that kind of thing, you effectively decide between yourselves what the feat is. So as an example, say you wanted to jump across a stream, then you might decide that that's an easy feat, which just means 1 success. Cool. So you decide how much AP you're going to spend on that in order to try and achieve it. However, you then go back and forth between you and the other player, and you say, oh, actually, looks like it's quite a deep river, or there's a ravine here or something. So actually, maybe this is a medium one or a hard one. And this determines how many successes are required in order for you to complete that. And there are some options here as well to sort of give you an idea and a guide of how to work it. It could be things like unlocking chests and that kind of thing. It's all scenario-based stuff, really, in the grand scheme of things. And you effectively decide between yourselves how that's going to work, and you roll and you succeed it. The other thing that's really cool is that you can then take things forward and delve into narrative feats. So narrative feats work in the same principle, and you go back and forth deciding on how something would work. But it essentially means that you can make a lot more use of stuff on the tabletop than you normally would really do in a game. So the example that I really like is this one here. which is that an Orc Brute wants to push a statue onto a group of halflings. And so the two players go back and forth between each other to decide exactly how it's going to work and how it should work and what you should do with it. It does mean that you have to have a little bit more of a back and forth between you and the other player. And you have to obviously try and do things in the spirit of the game. That's the main thing with this. It's not a sort of win at all costs style affair. But I think it really engenders a spirit of sort of storytelling and narrative. And it should be one of these things where you celebrate each other when you're playing at the table. A little bit like with a role-playing game, you're effectively trying to make it so that you and the other player at the table have a really good time. And this means that when you delve into the game and you play around with different characters and that kind of thing, you can have all sorts of strange and wacky things happen at the tabletop, which is what you want to do, really. You know, a lot of people dive into their role-playing games and war games, I suppose, so that they can have a good time and tell interesting stories. And this really gets that across, I think, which is wonderful. There are also rules for the likes of solo play in the game if you wanted to dive into it. So you could dive in and you could play solo if you wanted to. So there's lots of rules in that book for that as well. And there are lots of scenarios and all sorts of things online if you wanted to dive in and have some fun with it. And of course, you can dive in and create all sorts of different things as well if you like. And basically just have it's a lovely little sort of sandbox, I think Arkworld is. And it's very, very well put together. As I say, I'll have all the links down below for the Warband builder and everything like that. But it's a gorgeous little game that I think deserves a little bit more love, and it's well worth diving into. The reason why I suggest it as well is that it actually has one of the best miniatures lines out there. A lot of people will know if they've followed the channel for a while that I'm a really big fan of Burrows and Badgers, and I really like the miniature sculpting from Goblin King Games for Moonstone. But I really love the art and the design that has gone into Arkworld and the range of miniatures. Again, so going back to what I said at the beginning, there's this really nice sense that it's very much Discworld-esque in that regard, and I think you can have a lot of fun with their beautiful miniatures, getting them ready for the tabletop. Like, for example, this is my Ancient Dead Warband, led by this fellow here, as you can see. He even comes with a little tiny ghost dog. What's not to like about that, I say. But these are some of the miniatures that I painted towards the end of last year, and they're absolutely packed with detail, and really gorgeous. Some of the basing is coming off a little bit. I need to glue that down a little bit more with some spray. But yeah, so these are some of the skeletons, as you can see here, for the game. Show off a few more of them, of the Ancient Dead. I mean, this is a very simple and easy warband for you to paint. You can have a lot of fun doing this one. The miniatures themselves are available as either metal or resin, depending on what you prefer. So this is a metal warband, this one. You can also get it directly from Warp, if you want to get your hands on them direct from the supplier. But you can also get them from various retailers. So I know the likes of Whaling Games and North Star have access to the Warp collection. So if you're interested in that sense, you can go and get them from those different people instead. I also have this metal warband here, which is the Overlords, the Dark Overlords. If you're a fan of the Dark Lords, sorry, Overlord is the game that this has taken inspiration from, as you can see. This is one of the Dark Overlords himself. But what's really nice is that, like, even though this looks like a big Sauron-esque fellow for you using your games, there's no reason that he and this Albionican commander can't be in the same game and you have exactly the same amount of fun with it, because the way that the game's balanced and the way that it works. So yeah, really awesome Dark Lord miniature there. I have a few. These are some of the resins as well, actually. So there's some of the resin miniatures that I've painted. Some fun stuff there too. And some more stuff for the Overlords, the Dark Lords. These funny little flaming boys with their quirky little expressions on their faces. Absolutely packed full of character and really worth picking up and having some fun with. So, the last of the sets that I was going to show off is the third one that I have, which is the Albionicans. So if you're a fan of the folks of Bowerstone, for example, in Fable, these might be for you to pick up and have a look at. I will say that the older miniatures, so these ones like the Albionicans, the details are a little bit softer in them because they're some of the earlier sculpts. Especially when you compare them to the newer ones. So if we have a look at this guy here, you'll see that the detail is a little bit crisper on these, a little bit more depth in them as well. That doesn't mean that these are in any way worse. I just wanted to point that out as a thing that I've noticed when it comes to these miniatures. So if you're looking to pick some up, some of the newer ones are quite nice too. There's lots of Kickstarters that happen for the world of Arkworld as well. So if you're interested, the latest one was a Gremlins one, which is also jungle-based greenskins. I mean, look how cool he is. He's going ook like Monkey Island. Yay. But yeah, absolutely beautiful miniatures. I will say that they have... I'm really tempted to get the Wizards pack, because I think it's great, and obviously would paint them to match the Wizards of the Unseen University, I think. But yeah, there's lots of different miniatures for you to snap up. And what's quite nice as well is that you get one of these starter packs with these miniatures in it, and effectively you're ready to go. And you don't really need to buy anything else if you don't want to. You could just play with these figures, and you'd have lots and lots of fun. You could spend a lot of time just adding to your tabletop and building terrain and just telling really nice stories with just them, to be honest. No real reason to dive all the way in and get everything unless you really wanted to, which of course I do, because I would love to have more miniatures from this range in my life. But yeah, big fan of the Arkworld stuff, and as you can see, I think the miniatures speak for themselves, to be honest. They're absolutely gorgeous. Available as metal and resin and in 32mm scale. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a brief overview of what Arkworld is and why you should be picking it up. I think it really engenders a sense of fun and play in wargaming, which I think a lot of people are lacking nowadays, because they're just intent on doing the best they can to clobber their opponents, and this really goes in a different direction. It's obviously filled with beautiful artwork, as you can see here, and really nice design choices and all that kind of thing, and a lot of love has been poured into the game to make it what it is. Yeah, I think if you're looking for a fun fantasy skirmish game, make sure to go and check out Arkworld from the folks at Warp Miniatures. They have a full website, which will have all the details down below for that. They also now have a physical store, so if you're in Nottingham, you can actually go and check out the Warp Miniatures store, the literal physical store, and get your hands on some miniatures and have some fun there. Maybe learn the game from Alex and friends and see what it's all about. But yeah, I think Arkworld is brilliant. It's a breath of fresh air in the miniature wargaming scene that's been around for a while, and long may it continue, and I really hope to see it go from strength to strength. But yeah, if you are liking the look of things like the Ancient Dead and the Dark Lords, then maybe, just maybe, this could be something for you to sink your teeth into and have some fun with. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll be back with another video very, very soon on the weekend. Probably the Maggotkin of Nurgle Battletome flick through, but there might be something else as well. There will be members videos as well at some point too, so keep an eye out for that. There is also an affiliate link for Firestorm Games in the comments if you want to get your hands on some miniatures for a little bit of a discount price. Always helps me as well. And there is also a Ko-fi link down there too if you want to support what I do. But yeah, make sure to have a look at Arkworld for yourself, and I'll be back with more videos very, very soon. Bye for now, and don't forget to go and dive into a whimsical fantasy world of loveliness. Bye!